What's up, guys? So Howl-O-Scream has announced their entire 2018 event. So on Howl-O-Scream's website, they announced the entire event, all the houses, all the scare zones, and the shows, and it looks like it's going to be an amazing year. So I want to go through the event with you guys. I'm going to go through the houses first, the scare zones, then the shows, and then I'm also going to talk to you guys just a little bit about some of the tickets and whatnot that you can get. So first, the houses. Now, this year is a little different from last year because this year there's actually only 6 houses and not 7. The last couple years there's been 7 houses. This year they took one away and now we only have 6, which is very interesting because it's going to lead to a very interesting year, possibly, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But for right now, let's get to the first house. So I'm on the website, looking at the website, and the first house that pops up is Insomnia. We've talked about it previously before, but let's read the description again. So for Insomnia, it says, every door in this haunted asylum leads to your worst nightmare, and the door is accepting new patients. So obviously, like I said, we talked about Insomnia before, and it seems like it's going to be a really, really cool theme. I like the idea of it. Again, it's going to be kind of like an asylum where patients aren't allowed to sleep, and they're being tested on by doctors and having all these test experiments done to them while they're forced to stay awake the entire time. Seems like it's going to be really awesome. For me, it's my most anticipated house so far. I think it's going to be another fan favorite for this year. I can't wait to go through it. I'm excited to go through it. And next up on the list, we have another brand new house. There's 2 new houses this year. The rest are all returning houses. But there's the second new house is Simon's Slaughterhouse. And it says, by merely walking into this house, you have agreed to play Simon's sick and twisted games. So, not much detail on this house other than it is a 17 and up recommended experience. So, I don't really know what they mean by that. I tweeted that Howl-O-Scream, and from what they told me, it is a house that has they intensified the scares in that house, as well as a scare zone, which I'll get to later. But it is a 17 and up recommended experience, which is very, very interesting. I hope that it actually is going to be very scary and very frightening. I really hope that they do that house very well. I don't want it to be another kind of like one and done house like Undead Arena was. It'd be a big shame, especially with them having the 17 and up recommended, experience kind of surrounding that house. So let's hope that house is good. So up next is a house I talked about where we saw it on the website, but there was no announcement for it, which was Black Spot. So it is confirmed Black Spot is coming. They didn't do any kind of video for it or announcement for it or anything like that. They just threw it up on the website. So Black Spot is returning. I don't think that name Bloodshed is on there. It's not on the website, the picture of the website, but either way, Black Spot's coming back for its 3rd year. And the description of Black Spot is, an infamous pirate has you marked for death and has you right where he wants you. So obviously, if you guys have been through Black Spot before, you know it is about a pirate. You get marked with the black spot, you get marked for death. It's a fun house. Not my favorite house of the year, hasn't been my favorite house, but it is also a very good house. The next house, now we're also in the returning houses, is a fan favorite house, which is Deathwater Bayou. Hands down one of my favorite houses. I love this house. It's so good. The way that this house is done is amazing. It's on its 5th year, I believe. I can't remember, but it's on its 5th year. I definitely think this house is going to be around for quite some time, but we're getting Deathwater Bayou back again, and the description for that one is, escape the depth of the bayou before you fall victim to the Voodoo Queen's spell. So if you haven't been through Deathwater Bayou, I highly recommend it if this is your first year. It's probably going to be the first house you run into, because more than likely it's going to be exactly where it was before. It's going to be probably one of your favorite houses as well. Up next is Unearthed. So Unearthed kind of has a new theme this year, Search and Survive. Don't know if that means they've changed the house up at all, if they've changed the layout or set designs or anything like that, but Unearthed is back. And the description for that one, a centuries-old house has been unearthed, unleashing a vengeful demon seeking revenge. So obviously, Unearthed originally was about Scarlet. They lost the rights to Scarlet, so it's not about Scarlet anymore. But there is a new theme called Search and Survive, so let's hope that maybe they change the house a little bit. That house is also a really good house. Last time I went through it last year, there was an actor in there that got me really, really good. I was just not expecting him to come at me and freak me out. But yeah, it's a fun house to go through. And last but not least, another fan favorite, Motel Hell. So Motel Hell debuted 2 years ago, and it instantly became a fan favorite. That house is done so well, and like I said, I think I've said it before when they announced Motel Hell. What sucks is a lot of people really don't understand how detailed that house really is, because you don't really get to see it with the lights on. I've gotten to see it with the lights on before, and it is extremely detailed. It's amazing. Last year they changed the entire back half of the house, so maybe they've changed it again this year. Let's hope so. It's cool to see change. I like it. Granted, I like it the way it was before, but either way, it's fun to see change, and I still see that house being a fan favorite as well. So there's only 6 houses this year, and everything that has been announced and everything that is announced is pretty much all fan favorite houses. So I really do believe that this year is going to be a very strong year for the houses. I don't think there'll be many, houses that people don't like or weren't fans of. The only one I'm worried about would be probably, Simon's Slaughterhouse. I really, really hope that is as intense as they are claiming it to be. It's my only worry is it won't be as intense as they claim, but I got hopes. I got high hopes. So next, let's talk about scare zones. So the first scare zone we're going to talk about is Meat Market. Meat Market was a scare zone last year by Gwazi Park, basically like that whole area walking to Gwazi Park right before you got into Undead Arena. So if you haven't been through it before, basically it's very gory. It's very you just see big, bulky, bloody people with chainsaws. So it's a very, very interesting scare zone. And this year, they have changed it as well. And it also is a 17 and up recommended experience. So I don't know what they're going to do differently this year for a scare zone. It's kind of weird to have a scare zone that's 17 and up recommended. I'm not sure how they would do that. How you could make it like 17 up, how you would be able to make these scares in a scare zone more intense. So I'm curious to see how they're going to do that. It should be interesting, but let me read you guys the description of Meat Market. Back and better than ever, the Meat Market is sure to scare your appetite away. Cannibalistic creatures will feast on the weak as they add to their monster menu of hors d'oeuvres. Next is a new scare zone called Maniac Midway. Now for Maniac Midway, they have a picture from the scare zone previously last year, which was Carney Camp, which was one of our favorite scare zones. We had a really good friendship with the people that were in Carney Camp last year, so it was really fun to get to hang out. We got to hang out in that scare zone quite often. So I don't know if they're going to be part of Maniac Midway or not, but we'll see. But the description for Maniac Midway: join Sparky and his Carney crew as they force you to be part of the scariest show on earth. Clowns have overtaken the Midway and will scour Pantopia looking for the newest stars of this horrid attraction. So it seems like an interesting theme, really cool. Hopefully all that'll be themed well. Obviously everybody loves clowns as well as everybody hates clowns, so it'll be really good. Last year and the year before, I've ran around with a clown mask, and I always get 2 different reactions. Either people love me or people are just completely terrified of me. And we have another new scare zone, Camp DOA. And the description of this one: at night, as this deadly campground ensures a sleepover like no other, campers should sleep with one eye open as swamp mutants arise to make sure nobody gets a good night's sleep at this haunted marsh. So that seems really, really cool. For me, out of all the scare zones, this one is probably my most anticipated, just because the costumes for this are going to be, I hope, are going to be really awesome. I feel like they have the potential to make these costumes in this scare zone really creative and really awesome, and also the atmosphere of it. If this scare zone is going where I think it might be, I feel like it's going to be a great area for it, and it's going to be turning out to be. So I think this scare zone will probably be everyone's fan favorite this year. Maybe Carney Camp or the Maniac Midway. But for me, I think this one is going to be my favorite so far. Next for the scare zones is Deadly Toys. Childhood memories will be crushed as the horror comes to life in Howl-O-Scream 2018. Lock up your toy box because life-size toys are heading out on a murderous rampage and no one is safe from their deadly wrath. So, to me, it seems like they turned Nightshade Toys, if you guys remember that old haunted house that Howl-O-Scream used to have some years ago, basically into a scare zone, which I think is a cool idea. Personally, I didn't like Nightshade Toys, not because it wasn't a good house, but because I don't like dolls and or any kind of that creepy stuff. Not a fan of dolls, but I do think it's a good idea as a scare zone. Obviously, some people like me don't like dolls and don't like that whole creepy toys, like Chucky and everything else. So I think it's a really cool idea, and I'm interested to see that one as well. Next on the list, Hell on Wheels. Attempting to approach this apocalyptic arena? Think again, as a motorcycle gang protects the food and supplies that guarantee survival. With this gang in charge, the path to survival is looking grim. So this seems pretty cool. As far as I'm aware, I think the scare zone has been a scare zone before. I think they're just kind of, for what I can remember, I think, they're just kind of redoing it, which it's a really cool idea. I like the idea. It kind of reminds me of a scare zone that another haunt had 2 years ago, but I do think it's a good idea. Anything post-apocalyptic is really, really cool, or apocalyptic in general is really cool. I like that whole atmosphere and theme, so this one is, again, going to be another good scare zone. And last but not least, Dia de los Muertos. I really hope I said that good enough, but the description for that one is: spirits and souls have been asked to return for a one-of-a-kind celebration. This spooky festival includes a parade to honor those who have gone before us. Now, real quick, I really don't think there's going to be an actual parade. It would be really cool to see, and I would wish that, I really do hope that does come true. In the back of my head, I secretly hope that there really is a parade. I doubt that's actually going to happen, but I think the costumes and everything are going to be kind of themed to like a parade or anything like that. So when I first saw this scare zone announced, I wasn't a big fan. It definitely wasn't my favorite, but after I kind of sat down and actually thought about it, I think this is actually be a pretty cool scare zone. If they do it the way I think they're going to do it, the way I would like to see them do it, I think it has the potential to be a fan favorite scare zone as well. So that was the scare zones. So we've got 6 scare zones and 6 houses. They definitely added a scare zone as well. There wasn't 6 last year, so they took a house away, but added a scare zone to replace the house, which is very interesting. And it leads me to this: with only 6 houses this year, 6 scare zones, that means the crowd levels are probably going to be affected in some shape of form, like some way, and it's either going to be good or bad. Either there's going to be you're going to get through the event quicker because there's less houses to try and get through, or it's going to take you guys a lot longer to get through the event because there's less houses. And I feel like this year is going to be a very busy year and a very packed year because of all of the crazy deals that Howl-O-Scream has been doing. A while ago, they were selling tickets for pass holders for $20 and non-pass holders for $25. And then they did this summer deal, where the tickets were $30. And I think even before that, before the end of the year, like right after Howl-O-Scream, I think they were doing like a sale on tickets as well. So I feel like a lot of people have bought tickets, and it's going to be a very packed year. And with there being more people and less houses, I feel like the houses are going to be a lot more crowded this year. Especially with Howl-O-Scream, they don't kind of like conga line people through houses like Horror Nights does. They kind of just send you in a few at a time. So if the wait times for the houses are more than likely going to be a lot longer, especially with all the houses being pretty much fan favorites. Like Deathwater Bayou pretty much always has a long line. Granted, it's at the front of the park. Motel Hell always has a long line. But hopefully with Insomnia, one of the new houses, being over where ZCU used to be, might take some of the traffic away. But I still feel, and the Simon Slaughterhouse is in an area where there's just like 2 other haunted houses, so that whole area is just going to be insanely packed. So hopefully it won't be as busy as I am expecting it to be, but I really do think it's going to be busy, which leads me to this. So for this year, last year, usually you can get through the entire event in one night on a Thursday and still have like hours to go to be able to do some of the rides and stuff. This year, I don't know if that's going to be able to happen. Like I said, with all the crazy ticket sales that they've done, I feel like you're not going to be able to get through the entire night, even on a Thursday. So I think this year would be a very good year to look into getting an express pass. So there's 2 different types of express passes that you can do. The first one being the front of the line fear. Basically, you get front of the line access to all 6 of the haunted houses. The prices start at $35, but they do differ on certain nights. Obviously, peak nights are going to be a little bit more expensive than normal. But I'll bring it up on the screen to show you guys. But I would really highly suggest doing that this year. If you go on a Thursday, you might be able to get away with getting through all the houses. If you want to do everything in the park, like some of the rides that are open at night, as well as the Fiends show, which I would 100% not do. Like, if you're gonna go to Howl-O-Scream, make sure you do Fiends. It is the best show ever. My favorite theme park show that has to do with haunted attractions. There's a few others out there, but hands down, Fiends is the best. So if you haven't done it, I'm telling you, you need to watch Fiends. It is so good. The other one that you could do is the Frontline Fear Extreme, which basically gives you frontline access to all of the haunted houses, as well as all of the roller coasters and whatnot that are open during Howl-O-Scream. The prices start at $45, but they vary depending on the night that you go. So that's something else you want to look at if you wanted to be able to get through the entire event, plus riding all the rides. And yeah, there is a couple other ones. There's a one that you could do where you can get front of the line fear for all of the roller coasters, as well as all of the houses every single night of the event, if you have the ticket that lets you get to go to every single night. And that one's $200 every single night, and it does not include your admission to Howl-O-Scream. So you have to buy your admission to Howl-O-Scream, and then you would also have to buy the $200 for that as well to be able to do that. Like I said, I really feel like it's going to be a busy year this year, mainly because of just the ticket sales and how cheap they've been making tickets for it. So if you really, really want to try and get through everything, and you're going on like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, which are pretty much the busiest nights for Howl-O-Scream, especially on Saturdays, it's insanely packed. Look at getting Frontline Fear. That way you can at least get through all of the haunted attractions. You get frontline access to all of the haunted attractions. That way, the rest of the night you can spend trying to get on the roller coasters and riding some of the awesome coasters like SheiKra or even Falcon's Fury, which is so much fun at night if you have not been on it. If you go on a Thursday, which are usually the slowest nights, every now and then you can kind of get away if you get there right at the park, like right when the park opens for Howl-O-Scream, you can easily get through the entire night, as well as doing Fright Feast. If you do Fright Feast, you get express passes for like the first hour and a half of the event, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's also something else that you could do where you can get through all the houses and then start riding the rides. But usually Thursdays are the slowest days if you wanted to try and do it without having to spend the extra couple dollars to get an express pass. But like I said, I've said it a million times, seriously though, look into it, look into getting it. That way you can experience Howl-O-Scream the best way possible. So what do you guys think of the full event for Howl-O-Scream this year? Do you guys like all the houses? Do you like the scare zones? What are your thoughts? Let me know which ones are your favorite or which ones you guys are most excited for. Let me know down below, comment, and let's talk. I want to know what you guys are excited for, what you guys like. As usual, guys, Howl-O-Scream, even though announcements are over, we're not done talking about Howl-O-Scream. There will be all kinds of vlogs and stuff from Howl-O-Scream. I'm going to be doing a few vlogs weekly. I know, so last year when I did it, it was every single day. I might just do a weekly vlog this year, as well as I'm planning on doing a weekly live stream every Friday, the entire run of Howl-O-Scream, so you guys can look forward to that. That's it for me, guys. Just wanted to talk to you about Howl-O-Scream 2018. It's getting closer. I'm excited. As usual, guys, if you guys like the video, please give it a like. If you like what we post and all the content, consider subscribing. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All that stuff is in the description. And as usual, guys, stay spooky.